Welcome back to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Please like, subscribe, rate, review our podcast on the platform you listen or watch us on. We really appreciate your support every week, and thank you so much for being here. We've had some lovely new listeners come in on season 2, which is great, and lots of lovely feedback after last week's episode 2. This week we are talking all things wedding photography, videography, photo booths, etc. is what I wrote on my notes.
Etc. That just leaves it open for us to go on rants.
My favourite thing.
Detour.
Yes. Wedding photography, what did you do?
I only had a wedding photographer. Well, back when I got married, videographers and things weren't really sort of a mainstream thing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a wedding fair. I met a photographer, quite liked her style, emailed her, booked a consultation. She turned up. She did it. Actually, we booked a consultation. We had a chat on the phone, and both Jordan and I are really not very comfortable in front of a camera. We're not very photogenic.
Really?
Ooh, we're highly unphotogenic, actually, as a couple and individuals.
I think you and I are highly unphotogenic as a couple.
Yeah.
Trying to get business headshots for us is one of the most painful experiences ever.
I just don't know what's wrong with me. I swear I don't look like that.
No,
like, when I look in the mirror, I think, okay, that's fine, whatever. And then somebody takes a photo of me. Honestly, do I look like, I don't know what happens.
From the mirror to the photo, you mean?
Yeah. I know the camera adds a few pounds, but honestly don't know what happens. I think I'm quite animated. My face is quite animated. So in a video, you sort of see the animation, so it doesn't look so bad. I mean, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look so bad. In a photo, it's like a static animation, and I'm always like, I don't know what to do with my face. I don't know what angle I should be doing. My arms always look massive. I don't, all the tricks where you put your tongue at the roof of your mouth and all of that. I don't know what my good side is. I literally have no frigging idea what I look like.
Maybe we should get you some media training.
Well, it might help me stop saying stupid things too.
And then where would be the fun in that?
Well, exactly. You need me a bit of a loose cannon, don't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, because we are unphotogenic and we are nervous, we booked an engagement shoot with her. Not really for the photos, but for us to be in front of the camera and for her to give us a few tips and make us feel a bit more comfortable, which was really helpful. I mean, the photos weren't great, not her skill.
I've never
really
seen these photographs.
Yeah, I wore jeans and this funny little top thing that made me look like I got a humpback. I mean, the whole thing was just
I'm sorry, what top is this that makes you look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
It was like a grey. I'm actually having to think about this really hard. It was like a grey long sleeved thin jumper.
Mm.
It went quite low, sort of to my hip. The back material was cut in half, and then there was some chiffon that covered my bum.
The back material was cut in half.
So if you imagine,
so it's like half a jumper and half like an undershirt,
but only at the back.
Oh, never heard of anything like that.
I mean, they don't sell many of them, which would have given me a bit of a hint that it probably wasn't that great. Yeah, that they weren't particularly flattering, but it did make us feel a bit more comfortable going into the day.
Did she not give you a bit of advice on what to wear?
Yeah. I mean, in her email, it didn't say wear a jumper that's half chiffon just in the back. She said wear like a casual jumper, jeans, and Converse, because that's we were going for quite a casual look. And I did. So yeah, so that went well.
Well, please can you share some of those pictures with me?
And there's just pictures of me and Jordan like awkwardly looking into each other's eyes with my hand on his face. Like it's just awful.
I've never seen these pictures, so
But it honestly wasn't her. It like wasn't her.
did you
She
feel
was,
relaxed afterwards?
yeah. I knew it didn't go very well because we were just awkward. But it got rid of that awkwardness and that nervousness ready for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So we were a bit more relaxed going into the wedding. And actually all of that lovey-dovey sort of photo shoot thing came a bit more natural on the wedding day because you'd just been married, so there's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a love bubble around you, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
When we would on the engagement shoot, we were just sort of in a forest, awkwardly posing on a log type.
And did you pick her because of her picture style, or you just picked her because the price was
Yeah,
right?
our
And
picture style. It was quite light and sort of I was going to say airy fairy, but that's not really what I mean. But I think
whimsical.
whimsical. There you go. Yeah. So that's why we picked her, and she was really nice.
Hmm.
And actually, on the day, she was brilliant and held my head while I lied down, and
Mm-hmm.
so she went above and beyond.
Hmm.
And we got some really nice photos from the wedding. Mainly, my favourite one is the Jordan and I standing, and it's just the back of us. Can't see our faces at all.
I knew you were going to say that because that's the only one that I can remember seeing.
We're just not very pretty people.
We went for the opposite of what you went for. We chose we actually had two consultations and they were over like video, like over Zoom. Because a bit like you, I'm happy if I'm in control of taking the photograph. If somebody else is taking the picture of me, I turn into Chandler from Friends. I just
Yeah.
cannot, I just can't. Some pictures of me that exist are awful,
Mm-hmm.
so bad that I just didn't want that. The one that, so we had these two consultations via video, and one of them, she had been a photographer at a wedding that I'd been to before, so I knew what she was like. She was really personable, just sort of blended into the background, really nice candids, but again, sort of summer sparkles was her vibe,
Yep.
like sparkly and light and pastely and just that kind of vibe. The other photographer, dark, moody, bit different,
Mm-hmm.
bit more artistic in his approach. At the time, I didn't really think that their end result would match their personality. But now talking about it out loud, the other photographer, she is very summery and pastely and glittery behind the eyes. That is who she is, just really nice person. The photographer that we went with, yes, dark and moody.
Mm-hmm.
He is, they are
Bit
their
more
work.
alternative.
Bit quirky, bit out there, bit different, but we loved his work. So to me, we sacrificed his personality for the end result.
Yeah.
He we also did an engagement shoot, but that engagement, well, like a rehearsal kind of. But he gave us advice on what to wear, so neutral or natural colours. We could take the dog if we wanted to. So we took Calais for some of the pictures. Lovely. There's, you can't see it because it's way up there, but really nice picture of, well, there were loads of really nice pictures of us with Cal, my beloved Labrador cross cocker spaniel. And he also told us where to place our hands, how to look at each other, how to be more comfortable in front of the camera. I think we were probably with him for a good couple of hours. At the end of it, obviously I was exhausted, but I felt comfortable with him taking my picture over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And we both felt more comfortable in like staged poses. But I thought at the time, how on earth am I going to remember all of this when we get to the wedding day? But you can't, like, because you've got your bouquet, it's much easier to hold your position, and that's where you're putting your hand. And he also is talking you through how he wants you to look and which way to look and what style and all of that kind of thing. Not everyone's cup of tea, he was.
He was definitely someone
Gregarious.
was remembered. So if you're looking for a photographer that blends into the background,
Oh, he's not that.
he's not your guy.
No. Which I didn't really think about. He's like, you know, on like Anton Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway, he's the one hyping the crowd before they come on.
Yeah.
Like, he's the front man of the picture. He's the one baiting the people that don't like the photographs to get a reaction in the picture. Not everyone's cup of tea.
No.
Also, slightly inappropriate at times. But the end result was perfect. We got everything that we wanted from it. All of the black and white pictures that we really liked from his sort of examples and samples that he'd shared from other weddings. We got some lovely pictures. One of them, if you're watching on YouTube, just behind me there, loved all of the black and whites, loved all of the colour. But I think our preference as a couple was more black and white, moody, alternative kind of vibes. And yeah, he also leaned into the 2-day wedding, and he was great energy on the dance floor. Some really great dancing pictures. Like, I love all of those. So yeah, it works out okay in the end.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you're choosing your photographer, make sure the chemistry is right. Make sure you feel comfortable. Make sure you do a pre-wedding shoot, even if it's just in their back garden, just to get used to having the camera.
Yeah,
because it's not natural for most people.
No, and you do have some photographers that are jumping around on the dance floor, getting people going. You have people, you know, like you say, yours was baiting people to get a reaction, to get some good photos. Mine was very much, she stayed, you wouldn't have even known she was there, apart from when she was getting people together for them group shot. You wouldn't have known she was there.
I think that's quite normal. I don't think my guy was normal.
I think you probably will get one of either of them. So when you're talking to them, maybe ask what they kind of do in the day and how interactive they are. And because if you don't want somebody jumping around, shouting at your guests, you know, putting cameras in people's faces, and you want somebody that's a bit more of a wallflower, then you need to find out what type they are, because it doesn't necessarily come out in their photos. You wouldn't tell that from the style.
No.
So much. But
I've also seen it where the photographer has brought like a sidekick, that's assistant, not sidekick, it's not a magic show. And the photographer was shy, quite easily in the background, candid photos, you wouldn't have even noticed that she was there. The assistant was the complete opposite, ordering people around, right, we need this many people, like, your time for pictures. Got to know the whole wedding party really quickly, just became one of the guests, you could say, but also with like a slight bit of authority. It's a very strange dynamic there. But also, as a duo, they worked really well, because she was able to just carry on and take all the pictures while he was managing all of the people.
yeah,
So
it probably
a
went quicker
balance.
too, because
Yeah,
he was rounding up the next photo while she was still taking
yeah.
photos of them. That's quite. Yeah. So ask how they work, if they bring anyone, what their style is to get people into them groups. Also, because that can take hours, that can take
Mm-hmm.
ages if you've got no one coordinating that.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a list.
Yeah. I would say the photographers normally ask for a list of what you want, and they'll sort of go through that list. But if they're shy and they're not ballsy enough to say, okay, grandparents, and they don't bring anyone, that can take ages because it's a more subdued affair where the photographer's sort of slowly bringing people in, and it can just draw out that process.
That's also, I would say, not really their job. Like they're there to take all the pictures. Somebody else needs to manage the people.
Yeah.
If
Whether
they,
that's a groomsman
yeah,
or an assistant or
yeah.
someone.
And did you think about having a videographer or?
No, it wasn't really a thing that we even thought about when we went around the wedding fairs. Because when I got married, I hadn't really been to that many weddings, and the weddings that I had been to were very quite traditional. So if you were to like draw a wedding, it was that. And so I didn't really know that lots of things existed. So the wedding fairs were where I went to explore all the different things. Like I wouldn't have known you could get a lady to make a hair vine for your hair, all them little added extras that make your day really special. No idea any of that existed.
Mm-hmm.
So I used the wedding fairs to work all of that out and pick and choose the bits that I thought were important. And there weren't videographers around, so I just didn't even come into my psyche.
Was that 7 years ago?
Nearly eight. Eight.
Nearly 8 years ago. So a lot has changed,
I
even
think,
in that short time.
yeah.
The reason
When I
why, oh,
when
sorry.
I first when I first got married, wedding booths were only just coming in. Photo booths, sorry, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 8 years ago. I'm trying to think of weddings that I went to 8 years ago. If not all of them had photo booths or
No.
that kind of style.
We
They,
were very much in this sort of jam jar era.
yeah. My best friend's wedding, their photographer stayed on to take pictures in the photo booth, but it was literally just like a pop-up screen, like blank, like white screen with props that my best friend had provided. And then she took pictures while people were in there for like a couple of hours during the reception.
Mm.
I went to another one at this was 7 years ago at like a country manor house. They had like when you step in to take your passport picture,
Oh, okay.
it was like one of those. So you close the curtain, you then press the screen and it gives you different backgrounds and you
Yeah.
put on a few props in this very small,
Yeah.
I don't even know what photo booth. I don't know
Yeah.
what else would you call it.
Yeah. They were only really just becoming popular when I got married.
Mm.
I did a DIY one, which wasn't very successful. But so we had a proper camera, with a lens and everything, and a tripod that we put it on, and we bought the right lens, and we set the right settings so it would autofocus, and we had a background, and I bought pop-up
Like lighting.
lighting, and we had props and everything, but it just didn't. There was nobody sort of managing the lighting or managing the focus or managing, and it just was it was just all a bit flat.
Nobody was encouraging people to go and have
Yeah.
pictures and yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I tasked one of my bridesmaids to make sure that everybody went we did DIY photo booth. That's the only thing that I would change about my wedding. Well, not that wedding. Anyway, I mean, I'd have a whole different wedding now, but that's the only thing I would have changed about that wedding because I just didn't spend that much time thinking about it. I just wanted to do something that was quick and easy,
yeah.
but actually it took ages.
What did you have?
It was like a I bought a flower wall from the range, but I didn't buy enough panels, so I had to panic buy some like a couple of days before the wedding as we were setting it up. I then made a floral frame which was suspended from the ceiling so that you didn't have to hold the frame up. Um, and we had Polaroids, and people then pegged the Polaroid on a palette that I had painted in the style of a Polaroid, and they just pegged their Polaroids on the palette. Made some great pictures, but then the photographer was also taking pictures of people taking pictures, and also our videographer was filming people. So there's just some really nice images captured around the whole thing. But I
Mm-hmm.
tasked my best friend to make sure that every single person, as best she could, took a Polaroid because I just really wanted to capture everybody in there.
Yeah.
Um, she's pretty direct with people, so it was fine.
Yeah. I think yours worked quite well because it was like an instant thing. So if people thought, oh, that's a bit rubbish, they'd take another one.
Mm-hmm.
Where mine was on the camera, that you had no reference point for any of it.
Mm.
They were just sort of, and actually, when we first set it up, we set it up in like an upstairs balcony thing. And then the venue realised that nobody was going up there because it was such a nice day that the bar that was up there, nobody was using. They were all just using the outside bar. So they moved it,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, the great thing. But because they'd moved it, everything was just a bit off,
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't really work. I would definitely change it and got something that was a bit more fit for purpose, even if it wasn't manned,
Mm-hmm.
like the photo booth with the curtain, or you can now get big the big camera things, can't you, with the background. And my
Yeah.
background was just a brick wall. It was just a bit, felt like it was just a bit last minute thought, and
Mm.
actually it wasn't, but it kind of felt like that.
Yeah. The one thing that I really liked about how we did it, because it was a Polaroid, it wasn't fixed to one position. So as the night went on, my brother decided to take the Polaroid and just start snapping pictures of different guests. And some of those pictures are just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
But because he just, yeah, I mean, he'd had a few drinks by then because he was buying everyone Sambuca shots at the bar. But it was just really nice to see people using it, and it didn't matter because it was a private event, so no one was taking, like, we weren't even worried about anyone taking the Polaroid or anything going missing or anything like that. So that was quite an easy way to make it fun because, as you said, it's like instant. You get your instant picture. You peg it on the thing while you're taking your next one while it's developing, and it just worked really well. It's just the look and feel of it that I would change.
Yeah, I think anything where somebody gets an instant copy of their photo gets a buzz around the whole thing, and then they'll go back again.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was just to take a photo and then people moved on, so we didn't get the stupidly drunky ones. But
Boring.
whether you do a photo like a Polaroid, or the cameras now tend to print a copy, don't they, and then
Mm-hmm.
they digitalize a copy for you and things like that. I think it just adds to the fun of it, and people are like, oh, look at her face, let's go get one type
Mm-hmm. Have
thing.
you seen photo booths done really well?
Yes, at my brother-in-law's wedding they had a photo booth, which was like a big old passport photo booth, to be honest, but it was bigger. You could
Mm-hmm.
fit more people in, and you stood up rather than sort of crouched down into the little screen. And they had two people were manning it, and so there was a prop person that was handing out all the props and digging through all the props. So there was a real varied amount of props that people were using. They didn't just take the hat from the top, and so it was cycling through that. And then the other guy was the one that was sort of controlling the camera, and he'd print two, he'd give one to whoever would come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'd stick one in a book, and then he'd get the people that were in that photo to write a fun message or write something stupid. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like the fun guest book.
Yeah.
But he was making people write in it, so
Mm.
everybody was having fun and writing stupid messages and stupid memories and that type of thing. So it was done really well, because it was
Yeah.
like photo booth and guest book all in one.
And somebody managing it.
Yeah, 2 people were managing it. And when it got quiet, they'd rally people in, and
Hmm.
it
I
was very good.
uh, did that, and then they took the guest book, I guess, home, did they? Your
Brother-in-law,
brother-in-law.
yeah.
That's nice. I
He's
really like the we've seen it done a couple of times. It's like a vintage, it looks like an old vintage camera, but it's like a modern version. And they have really jazzy backdrops. So you can
mhm.
have like sequin wall, you can have mirror wall, you can have disco balls if you want. And I really like that. Again, it's a printed copy, but it also is a digital copy. So you have as the guest, you've got your print and your little souvenir from the wedding, great. But then the bride and groom get a copy of all the digital versions, which I also think is really nice. But that doesn't come cheap.
No, they don't come cheap. They do look really, like, if you're going through a really aesthetic wedding and every detail matters to you, they do look really good.
Yeah.
Because the area that the company set up is a styled area, and you would pick what you wanted. And the ones that we've seen, they've styled round the camera and down the side, and it becomes part of your decor.
Hmm.
And the cameras are really beautiful and and stuff. So it's a really good option.
And you pay someone to come in, look after all the stress. You don't have to worry about backdrops or anything.
They bring all
Also,
the props.
yeah, they bring all the props, the camera, everything. Easy. Have you ever seen it done badly?
My one. Um, yeah. Well, there. I think do-it-yourself photo booths are always.
Hit and miss.
Well, I think they're more miss than hit,
Mm.
to be honest. I think the only reason yours worked is because it was a Polaroid and people
Hmm.
could be in control of the camera, if you
Yeah,
if you see what I mean. But if you've set up a normal camera or a phone and you're trying to do it, it just doesn't work.
no.
It goes out of focus, and then you've got no photos, and the lighting's always dodgy and everything. So DIY ones tend to not work.
How do you feel about cameras on the tables? Old school disposable cameras.
I don't really have a strong opinion.
I might do that for. I'm just going to write a note. Might do that for Ian's birthday.
The problem is you can't actually get them developed until the film's finished.
What?
So if you've got 10 cameras and they've all got, I don't know, 30
It's
photos on, you have to then just take photos of random stuff to get them developed.
maybe what I'll do is I'll take pictures of you so that you get more comfortable in front of the camera and like self
Ooh.
chin in and all of that, just over and over again.
If you're watching YouTube, is this
Looks,
it?
looks great. I think you meant to smile.
I was. The
Okay.
QR code thing's quite popular as well, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm not sure about that. Does it do? Uh, Speaking for myself, if there's a QR code, if I don't take a lot of pictures anyway, but if I'm taking pictures at an event, am I then going to scan the QR code and upload all of those pictures at the event? No, because I'm enjoying the event.
Yeah.
Would I prefer it on my invitation so that I have it oh yeah, scan it on the invitation when I'm at home after the event? Yes, I'm more likely to do that.
Yeah, so maybe not have it on the table as such, but maybe have it on the back of people's name tag so
Yes.
they can put that in their back pocket
Yeah,
or bag and take it home.
I'm
I
more
mean,
likely to do that.
we're not one really to take photos, but if you think of our friend Tyler, she would be scanning that QR code and going around that wedding, getting all the photos, wouldn't
Mhm.
she?
Or she would be forcing us to take pictures at her wedding using the QR code.
Well, either or, yeah.
But we will do that with a smile on our face and
course
not complain.
Of course we will. But yeah, I think it depends what you want kind of photos, because if you did a QR code, you'll get all the photos of Nana Lynn taking that slightly dodgy photo that's got half cut out with a bit of curtain, and you'll get everything. With the photo booths, you get the fun drunk photos only.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends what you want.
One of my friends at work, her granddad, she always talks about how her granddad's got this perfect way of taking candid photos, posting them all over Facebook, and they are hideous. A bit like you and I. She's like, how did I go from the mirror to this photograph? Because he captures it just at the wrong time. She said
Yeah.
he's so good at capturing awful candid pictures. And then he posts them on Facebook without thinking about, oh yeah, no, oh no, that's a lovely picture of you.
Yeah.
No, it isn't, Grandad. Take it down.
So the QR codes are dangerous because you will see all of them awful photos.
I mean, I'm here for it for other people. I'd love to see all of her granddad's pictures because I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy taking pictures of her when she is candid, but they always come out hilarious because she's like, oh, yeah, that's great. I'm like, oh, this is you a minute ago.
But there's a difference, isn't there, between being captured at the wrong time when you're sort of mouth open, chin back, and actually really trying in a photo and still looking like Gollum, which is the problem I have.
If you'd like to donate to M's media training, please DM us on Instagram.
America's Next Top Model. Here I come.
I think you have to be, no offense, 10 years younger.
I mean,
And maybe 20 years younger.
after my media training, in
Well,
photos, I might look 20 years younger, mightn't I?
the world will be your oyster, Em, after your media training. Do you want to know about my photo booth gone bad?
I 100% do.
So I've always thought that these cameras are a thing of genius. So you've probably seen them at weddings or events, or you've seen them on Instagram or something like that. Basically, you stand on a podium and it's a 360-degree camera. So the camera spins, so you'll have like Em and I will be back to back. We don't have to move to follow the camera. The camera moves around us. So you just stay looking forward, posing, dancing, whatever you want. Nice, candid, fun pictures. Great idea. Whoever came up with that is a genius. Maybe we should start another side hustle. No, I'm not starting another side hustle because I've actually seen one in real life. And I'd give it a 0 out of 10.
It was definitely disappointing, wasn't it?
First of all, the podium that you stand on wasn't level. So you step on one end and it's kind of tilts a little. So you're like, oh God, is this going to
And the
break
camera's
underneath me?
well, and also the camera's at a cock then, isn't it?
Camera's off. It's then not going to be set. It's going to be like orbiting the Earth kind of vibes. No, no, no.
The planet camera.
Second of all, for whatever reason, the ring light was not working. Strike one. Well, strike two. Then there was no power leading up to the top bracket. So where you had to put your own phone in for it then to spin round, capturing the video, but there was no power up to the top bracket. So the 360-degree camera didn't even spin 360. It didn't even work. Ring light was off. Nothing. Oh, let's make sure it's plugged in. Yeah, it's plugged in. Let's make sure all of the cables are connected. Yeah, all connected.
It wasn't manned, was it?
No.
And I would have thought you sort of stepped in, even if you had to put your phone in, then you'd press a button and it would just
Away you
turn
go.
on in a whiz. But there was a funny little remote control that had no like directions. There was no like up, down, on, off, stop, slow button. It was just like a load of blank buttons.
Yeah.
But you start pressing and nothing happened. And we were there for about 10 minutes trying to get it to work, weren't we? And then
Yeah.
we went, oh, give up on this.
Pointless. So they may look good for the first spin around image captured, but how long are they lasting? I don't trust them. No, thank you.
Maybe we had to put our camera in and then just push it, and it's sort of.
Yeah, but do you not, when we tried to do that, then the podium was wobbling because it was just, nothing was secure. Nothing felt safe. It was
No.
broken. It was an absolute shambles.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Terrible.
I'm sure there are better ones,
There must be,
but
because
that wasn't
somebody's built a business from this, but that one was abysmal.
Yeah.
All the other ones, though, that I've experienced, pretty good.
You've got to get your guests to lean into them a bit, haven't you?
Yeah. And I think what helps is somebody who's actually managing it for you.
Yes.
Get somebody in there to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else, Em, on photography, videography, photo booths?
I don't think so. What about we haven't really talked about videography. I didn't have one. We've talked about that, but you did. What was
Yeah,
your
I did,
sort
yeah.
of process and experience with that?
I really wanted to, I mean, I love a good movie. In and I love watching movies together. In is a romantic at heart, and I really enjoy creating videos, editing videos, creating something special for other people. So I really wanted to get, it's great having the photography, loved it all. It's on the wall, see it every day. But I really wanted to capture the movement, which sounds a bit, oh yes, look at me going to the Tate Modern on a Saturday afternoon. I really wanted to capture the movement of both days, and I wanted to capture people's facial expressions and funny moments and all of the energy and emotion that you go through during the couple of days. But because we had our wedding split over 2 days, it was important to me to work with a videographer that I've worked with before, who literally can deliver a video within 24 hours. I knew that he could handle the pressure. I knew that he knew Ian and I as well, so that made it more comfortable. He's also really personable, so I knew that people would warm to him really quickly. And I'd come up with this idea where I really wanted to tell mine and Ian's story before we got together, during the initial stages of our relationship, when we got engaged and the lead up to that day. So it's really important to have a storyteller as well as a videographer. Even though I am a control freak, so basically created, directed my whole wedding. I was very close to the detail of the video, and I really like his style, all of the things that I've seen him done before, very emotive videos, whether it's a wedding, whether it's for work. He just puts himself into the viewer's position to know what looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to, because we had a 2-day wedding, as we mentioned last week, not everybody was there at the ceremony because that was the day before. So we then had our party the day after. And to make those people that were at the party feel more included, what I wanted to do was tell mine and Ian's story, then go into the highlights reel of the day before, and then the video welcomed us into the room. And we created from ceremony, we then pre-recorded us driving into the venue, getting out the car, walking into the venue, so that the video told that story as well. And he sent it to me. He sent me a first draft probably 7 o'clock in the morning, the morning of the party, and it was just perfect. I've picked all of the songs that I wanted to go in there. He'd edited it so well in such a short space of time. I'd already pre-approved the stuff before the ceremony. Like, I'm a control freak, so I don't expect normal people to go into this level of detail, but it meant a lot as part of the guest experience, you would call it now, but I didn't really think about that at the time. And then when we had the rest of the footage, he just built it on to what already existed. I also made sure that we had all of the B-reels so that I could just look at all of the stuff that he'd filmed. There's also like a longer version which includes all of the speeches. I mean, it's cringe to watch it back now because I just think, why did you say that? Why didn't you write it down in? Why didn't you read from your notes instead of like a chicken scrawl bullet point? No. But when he did the highlights reel, he cut really special parts, and it just hit different that way. Like nobody's going to sit there and watch. I don't really like watching all of the speeches because like you're in the moment at the time. I don't want to hear it all again. I don't really need to because it's done. But he took one quote that Ian said, which Ian and I joke all the time that one thing we have in common is life. You know, when you're first getting to know each other, oh, what do we actually have in common? And Ian's answer was life. So we always joke about that. And he'd cut that in to the video. He also cut, because my dad had suffered a stroke a couple of years before our wedding, speech was one of the things that he had to rebuild and relearn. And we didn't think that. I sort of chatted to him about what he wanted to do from a speech perspective. Did he want to read a speech? Did he want to write one? Would he prefer my brother to read it? All of that kind of thing we spoke about. And I just didn't want to put too much pressure on him. Father of the bride, I'm happy whichever way you want to go. If you want to write it, great. If you want my brother to read it, also fine. I just wanted him to feel comfortable. And because it was the second day, I think the pressure had sort of eased off a little bit because he was nervous about walking me down the aisle. You could tell because in some of the pictures you can see that you can just see that he's nervous. It's a big thing. And so I wasn't, my brother had come up to me just before the speeches and said, Dad's decided that I'm going to be reading it. I was like, that's absolutely fine. More than happy with that because I know that he'd be comfortable with that. Ian finished his speech and then said, and I think I'm now handing over to Jen's brother. And my brother just shook his head, and Dad had already got the microphone with him and stood up. Like my whole family just burst into tears because they knew how much it meant to him, and they knew how difficult it was for him to do this. And the videographer captured just a very small snippet of the speech. And if you play it to any member of my family now, they just burst into tears because it's just the perfect part at the perfect time in the perfect part of the video. I've got the whole speech. I'm sure I will watch it again. But just those very specific moments in the video really mean a lot to Ian and I. And you can't capture that in a picture.
No.
The photographer could have taken 100 pictures of my dad giving that speech, and you just wouldn't have captured it the same way. And we did think about it because, again, it is an extra expense. We were on a budget. I had a figure in mind as to what I wanted all of the photography and videography to cost, and I really wanted the video, so I made it work.
Yeah, you cut back elsewhere to get it. Yeah, I think I would have quite liked a video of it because, like we've joked, I'm not very photogenic, so I don't look at the photos very often because there's only a handful of them that I actually like how I look in them. So, but the video I think would, like you say, it would have got a bit more of the flow of the day, and I would have been able to remember it better through that, I think.
And the dancing, he captured the dancing, which I love that too, because everybody is just having a great time. I'm going to watch it again tonight, I think, Em. I went through, after the wedding, I think I watched it every day, multiple times for a week, because he obviously sent the short version. We already had that. We were just waiting for the rest of it. And again, he was sending proofs over maybe once a week. So the week after, I'd then send my notes back. He'd come back with the edits. I think I then had a couple more notes and he came back. So it was within about 2 or 3 weeks that we had the final video, but we still had that first part. And I just remember sitting every night before I went to sleep, I'd just play the video back and watch it and listen to the music that I'd chosen. And I just loved it. I haven't watched it for a while, but I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah, I think it's if you can stretch your budget and get one, I think they're really worth it, because also we consume content very differently as sort of humans now, don't we? And sort of video is what we consume more than static imagery now. So I think when
you can also get content creators to come to your wedding now. So you could have somebody, I mean, another business model, just going to put that out there for any entrepreneurs. You could literally capture content from somebody's wedding on your iPhone. You could then spend a couple of hours, it would probably take me an hour to clip together 10 to 15 minute highlights reel with some of the songs that they've chosen. That would literally take me, obviously, all day at your wedding, couple of hours in the edit, then
you've got like
reels,
lots of reels and
yeah,
and stuff to post on your Instagram and things like that.
So there are ways to do it if you don't want full videographer with all of his kit, blah, blah, blah. You could just DM me and I'll do it for you on my iPhone. Whilst you're hiring one of my bridesmaids on hireabridesmaid.com.
That was our idea last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're still looking for the right business name. Anything else,
No, I don't think so.
Next week, we're open to topics.
What do you want to hear? What are you worried about?
Just ask us and we will try to help you in the best way that we can. Or we'll come up with a business model where we can help other people.
I was just about to say that.
It's been fun recording tonight, Em. Not that it isn't fun always, but I feel like I've created a new laugh, which I'm not sure where that's come from.
Well, what I'll do is I'll make sure I get a still shot of that to put that on our Instagram covers stories. Just our faces, like if you can't see what I'm doing, I'm putting absolutely gloriously beautiful faces at the camera.
Look at that jawline.
See, Jen is like nice smile, good jawline, sparkly eyes, and I'm just like greasy mess, yummy smile.
Oh dear. But next week you will be media trained. So
yeah, I was just about to say, I don't think that's going to help.
Brand new woman next week, Em.
Okay, tune in, guys. Find out how it happened.
Please like, subscribe, rate, review our podcast on whatever platform you listen or watch us on. Might not be watching us for much longer. Keep up to date with the podcast by following our Instagram account at the I Do Crew Podcast. Send us your questions. Please send us your topics of what you'd like us to cover next week. We really want to hear from you. We'll try and help as best we can with a few stories in between. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
You've been listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Keep up to date with our podcast news by following our I Do Crew podcast Instagram account. Thanks for listening.